I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who would plot revenge. But when you've given 15 years of your life to a man, when you've cooked, cleaned, carried his burdens, and stood by him through storms, you don't expect to find him in your bed with another woman. And yet, that's exactly what happened to me. It was an ordinary Tuesday evening. I had come home early from work, carrying his favorite takeout as a surprise. My hands were full of food bags, and my heart was light because I thought I was doing something sweet. But the moment I opened the door, I heard it. Laughter. A woman's laughter. At first, I froze. My stomach tightened. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might explode. Slowly, I tiptoed toward the bedroom. The door was cracked open, and through it, I saw the man I had loved for over a decade, lying tangled in sheets with someone who wasn't me. She wasn't even beautiful in the way magazines show beauty, but she was younger, carefree, and in that moment my husband who always told me he was too tired for intimacy, looked like a teenage boy again, laughing, playful, alive. And I stood in the doorway, holding bags of food invisible. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just slowly turned around, left the bags on the counter, and walked out. For weeks, I carried that image in my mind like a poisonous thorn. He never confessed. Not once. He looked me in the eye, sat at my dinner table, held his phone too close to his chest, and acted like nothing had happened. And I thought to myself, if he wants to play dirty, I can play dirtier. One night, I found what I needed. He kept a little bottle of lube hidden in the nightstand drawer. That's when the idea sparked in me like wildfire. It was stupid, crazy, dangerous. But I was already broken. I went to the store, bought a strong adhesive glue, the kind used for fixing leather and wood. Clear, thick, permanent. My hands trembled as I poured the lube down the sink and replaced it with glue. I whispered to myself, this is what betrayal tastes like. The night it happened, I pretended to be asleep. He thought I was out cold, and as usual he snuck out of bed with his phone. Minutes later I heard giggles. Then muffled voices from the guest room. I lay there wide awake, every nerve in my body buzzing. And then it came. A scream. A man's roar of agony. A woman's shriek of horror. I rushed to the guest room door, putting on my best mask of shock. And there they were. Two people stuck together in the most humiliating position imaginable. The glue had hardened fast, fusing their skin. My husband's face turned red, his eyes bulging with panic. The woman cried, clawing at the sheets, begging me to help. I almost laughed. The sight was grotesque, absurd, and yet poetic. But it didn't stop there. The screams drew the neighbors. Soon, someone called the fire department. Imagine the scene. A married man, naked and glued to his mistress, carried out of his own home by firefighters while the flashing red lights lit up the entire street. Cameras clicked. Neighbors whispered. Some even laughed openly. My husband begged me not to watch. But I stood there, arms crossed, my face blank, and whispered, this is what betrayal looks like. You'd think that would be the end of it. That he'd pack his things, that I'd sign the divorce papers, and that we'd never see each other again. But life has a way of twisting even darker. A week later, I received a letter. Not from him, but from her. The mistress. She wrote, you ruined my life. You think you've won, but you haven't. You'll pay for what you did. My heart sank. I thought it was just empty rage. But then things started happening. First, my tires were slashed in the middle of the night. Then someone poured bleach on my flower garden, killing everything I had planted. One evening, as I was walking home, I felt footsteps behind me. When I turned, there was no one there. I began to live in fear. My husband, now my ex-husband, showed no remorse. In fact, he threatened to sue me for bodily harm. Can you imagine? The man who shattered me, humiliated me, now wanted to play the victim. I was drowning in anger and fear. Some nights, I couldn't even sleep. Then came the night that changed everything. I woke up to the smell of smoke. At first, I thought I was dreaming. But when I opened my eyes, thick black smoke was seeping under my bedroom door. My heart thundered in my chest. I grabbed my phone, dialed emergency services, and stumbled out. The living room curtains were on fire. Flames crawled up the walls, swallowing everything in sight. Through the haze, I saw her, standing outside my window. The mistress. Her face twisted, her eyes wild. She was watching it burn. Watching me burn. That's when I realized. Her hatred was deeper than mine. She didn't just want revenge. She wanted me destroyed. I barely escaped that night. The firefighters saved me, but my house, my memories, my safety, it all turned to ash. The police investigated. They caught her within days. She had bought accelerant and had written about finishing me off in her diary. She went to prison. My husband disappeared, running from debt, scandal, shame. And me? I was left with nothing but scars inside and out. But here's the thing about hitting rock bottom. There's only one way to go after that. Up. I started over. A new town. A new job. A small apartment that smelled of fresh paint instead of betrayal. And slowly, painfully, I rebuilt myself. I learned something through it all. Revenge might feel sweet in the moment, but it always leaves a bitter aftertaste. What I did, swapping his lube for glue, wasn't just revenge. It was a scream for recognition, for validation, for justice. And yes, for one glorious night I got it. The world saw him humiliated. But the aftermath nearly destroyed me. So if you're listening to this story, maybe with your own broken heart, maybe with your own betrayal burning inside you, hear me. Don't let revenge define you. Yes, expose the truth. Yes, walk away from liars and cheats. But don't let their darkness drag you into the fire. Because in the end, revenge won't heal you. Only forgiveness, not for them, but for yourself, will set you free. And freedom, my friend, is the sweetest revenge of all.